Hi ENFP, the name is Eric Dorn. In today's video we talk about why ENFPs have such terrible memory. But before we go into that, let's ask ourselves, is that really true? A lot of people argue that ENFPs have bad memory, arguing that ENFPs have introverted sensing as their inferior function, and a lot of ENFPs that I met and asked about this have said that yes, they struggle to memorize things. They read a lot, they learn a lot, they're infinitely curious about everything and everyone. However, they find it hard to actually form, those memories afterwards that, allow you to, draw and pull on previous experience to answer questions and solve problems. And now let's talk about what's really going on here. Why do ENFPs struggle with memory? And what kind of memory do people struggle with, right? Because a lot of the time people tend to just assume that memory is one function in the brain, when in fact there are many forms of memory and many different ways to memorize. Now the first thing you want to think about as an ENFP is this. The first form of memory is rote memory. That's the name memory. That's the thing and object memory, right? That's memorizing what things are called and when and what time and how, to just know the general minutiae details about what things are and what they can be defined as, right? The second kind of memory we can speak about is the procedural memory. And that's the process memory. That's remembering how to cook a recipe. That's remembering how to, use your computer to perform a task. That's knowing how to change a light bulb. On top of that, there's another form of memory we can consider to be episodic memory. Episodic memory is, for example, remembering a conversation you had last week with your friend and what they said and how they said it and what color their shirt was when they were there and how it smelled in the environment. Well, most people don't really remember this. Or, how it felt to be there, right? Episodic memory is like a movie in your own mind. Finally, we can speak of a fourth form of memory, associations memory, which is the ability to memorize patterns and to, for example, recognize chains of events. And this is something that's very important to, for example, remember things by their associations or your connections or immediate thoughts when you hear about something, right? So, for example, being able to group bugs with snails, right? On top of that, we can speak of working memory, which is how many items or tasks that you can hold in your head at the same time, often measured by, for example, remembering a series of digits and trying to hold as many digits in your head at the same time as possible, right? Most people can only hold up to 7 digits in their head, and some people generalize and say, well, that means you can hold up to 7 items in your head at the same time, right? And a lot of ENFPs also say, once again, that they have poor working memory, that they are bad at holding things in their head, that as soon as they go into a new room, things are gone and they forgot what they were doing and they start completely fresh. And now let's talk about the pros of having bad memory. Well, there are many pros of having bad memory. Imagine, for example, that you could keep the enthusiasm of a child seeing an item for the first time. The fascination of seeing a spider or a bird or a cat or a dog. The joy of getting to know a new person. The fascination with learning something new about somebody. Because when we don't memorize things, we are, in general, more excited about things that happen around us. We're more curious about everything that goes on in our ongoing environment, right? Besides that, having a weaker memory can also help you learn things more quickly, right? And that means when you have a poor memory, it's easier to let go of previous beliefs because you couldn't even remember them in the first place, and to make room for new things, right? And suddenly, that old thing that you used to think or believe is completely gone and you forgot that you even thought it in the first place because here's this new cool thing, right? Amazing, fascinating. I'm so happy to have discovered this new thing, right? Groundbreaking, revolutionary. Now, let's be honest, there are real upsides to being able to memorize things as well. And a lot of ENFPs actually have a really, really good memory. The first thing you might notice is you probably have a better memory in some areas than others. There are certain things that you can memorize really well and certain things that you know and understand very quickly and keep on and hold on to for the rest of your life, like they happened yesterday. Most likely as an ENFP, you're gonna score higher on associative memory and on episodic memory. Associative memory often triggered by intuition, and episodic memory often triggered by feelings. And so, if you care about something, if you feel strongly about something, you're gonna find that that is going to be easier to learn. And if you can think of patterns and make connections for things and create associative systems for things, you're gonna find that things stick a lot more easily. But if you find yourself instead boggled up by details, trying to remember dates, trying to remember who said what and when and what their name was, and the general, the details of life, you're going to find that that might be more difficult. And if you're going to remember a process or, how to follow a set of instructions and how to memorize a set of instructions so that you can use them later, as an ENFP, you might find that more difficult. And the reason why you find it more difficult could be explained by you find it more boring, right? And here's the thing, the brain likes to have fun. The brain wants to be engaged, wants to be interested, wants to be curious about things. And as an ENFP, that's no different for you. And so if you want to improve your memory, the best thing you can do as an ENFP is learn to have more fun. A lot of ENFPs aren't actually enjoying the life they live as much as they think, right? Which means that while ENFPs act enthusiastic about things, act curious about things, act positive about things, many ENFPs actually don't really enjoy life as much as they like to think. And many ENFPs struggle with boredom and with a lack of energy and enthusiasm and motivation. And many ENFPs experience this consistently in many parts of their lives. A tendency to feel or wonder what the point is of things, a tendency to question things, a tendency to lose interest in things, and a tendency to struggle to commit to things in the first place, right? And if you want things to stick, you actually have to engage in and do things which are fun and novel and interesting for you as an ENFP. And as an ENFP trying to learn things, you're better off just, throwing a million things at the wall and going from thing to thing to thing in an enthusiastic state of curiosity than simply working from one to the next, to the next, to the next, in a logical, sequential, and detailed manner. Instead of forcing yourself to learn the math book from the first page to the last, perhaps start with the last page first, and then jump to the middle, and then turn the book upside down. And notice that this is going to consistently increase your enthusiasm and motivation. ENFPs learn more when they bring out the absurdity of life, when they flip things on their head, and when they do things in a different and unusual way. And these are strategies for an ENFP to get more enjoyment out of life, but also to remember more, because these are the things that are going to stick for you, not the things that you forced yourself to stare at until magically they, burnt themselves into your mind. And the truth is, many ENFPs are engaged in this state of masking in which they push themselves to force themselves to learn using conventional education paradigms, and paradigms that don't really work for the ENFP personality type. Because let's face it, when you're extroverted, you like to go out and try things out and not just read about them in a book. Well, that can be fun too. And as an intuitive, you like to engage with experiments and creative exercises that allow you to flip things around and see the other perspective. And as a feeling type, you need to know why you want to learn this, for what reason, and how you can help humanity by knowing this. And of course, as an ENFP, you need a bit of chaos to really harness your ENFP creativity. Lastly, after you've done this, don't forget the importance of slowing down, of sleep, of stopping, of being idle, of just sitting, because the mind forms the most memories when we are in an idle state. And so it's the times when nothing seems to be happening in us that the most things happen inside us. And if you want, as an ENFP, to really remember things, after you've gone and done something really crazy, really adventurous, really fun for you, and after you had all those amazing impressions, take a second to stop time and notice how these magical moments, even if they last only for minutes, these moments of silence, these moments of stopping and standing still and just being are integral to your ability to memorize and hold on to and be able to use and remember things for later in life. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you want to support this channel, check out patreon.com/ericthor. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you all in the next video.